Get to this now. New on Sunrise, at least 3 people were arrested Monday after a drug bust in Evansville.
Deputies with the Vanderburgh County Sheriff's Office say authorities were watching a home on Olive Street. That's when they say they saw these 2 people here, Dugnicio Forrest and Mayling Smith, leave it. Deputies say they were soon pulled over for a traffic violation. Inside of their car, detectives say they found over 130 grams of meth, other drugs, and over $1,000 in cash. Smith was taken to the Vanderburgh County Jail on drug charges, while Forrest was taken to the Henderson County Jail on a federal complaint. Their mugshot was not made available.
And after their arrest, authorities executed a search warrant at the home. And officials say the homeowner, Derek Lowe, had been seen putting a trash bag inside of a car that was outside that home. Well, inside of the car, authorities say they found drugs and 2 semi-automatic guns. Meanwhile, inside the home, deputies said they found even more guns, over half a pound of marijuana, and over $4,000 in cash. All of them are facing drug charges.